When your challenges or opportunity become heavier than your infrastructure, you collapse. And you don't really know when that's going to happen or when that is. Like for me, the challenges and the opportunity that were all on top of my shoulders. That's why I created my five. And this is where I would just answer the question. My identity was a whack. Like, who am I really? My health took a back seat. My friendship circles, like I was just, I didn't have those like rhythms. Work, I wasn't finding it. Like my joy and my purpose was, why the hell am I even here? And when those things get out of whack, dude, like when we're like, man, my identity is growing this business. My purpose is money. When all these things happen, don't be surprised if you do either fail and collapse or succeed and collapse, because ultimately those aren't sustainable truths. Like, you are not your business. And if you are, then every time it's good, you're amazing. Every time it's bad, you're a loser. That's not sustainable. Your purpose is not money. Because if it is, then when it's good, you're on purpose. When it's bad, you're off purpose. And that's not purpose. And so really understanding that, like, if you don't find who you are and you don't live a healthy rhythm lifestyle, your challenge might be failure. Your challenge might be success, but it'll crush you, one or the other.
In terms of business success, because this is an interesting question, because I think a lot of people become super successful and they say, Jesse, it was a crazy journey. I was working these long hours. I was way out of balance. I didn't have a lot of relationships that I wish I would have kept. But then I ask them, like, would you be able to achieve that amount of success in that amount of time if you were balanced and you did have all these things online? They're like, absolutely not. And then I say, would you do it over differently? And like 80% of people actually say no, because I needed to get there. And then 20%
Yeah.
like, yeah, of course, because I would have sacrificed all that money and all that half of the success if I actually was in alignment and I knew who I was and I kept those important relationships around me. So I just kind of want us to riff on this, because I think it's kind of the interesting concept where I feel like some people are like, no, you have to go through a lot of pain and probably suffering that most people don't want to go to achieve some sort of level of success. So walk me through what that looks like if you were to do it differently.
Yeah, I mean, I think everything you just said is true and false. Because it's true because there's evidence that somebody went through it and had success. It's false because nobody did it. These folks didn't, so you don't know. You don't know. Like, and I'll say this, like, I most of the stress we put ourselves under isn't why we were successful. That's not why you were successful, because you put yourself under that stress. You could have been successful without having the extra burden of identity stress, of purpose stress, of mission stress. And I would just say this, like, um, everybody's got to find their own path. And if somebody out there is like, I don't care about having a healthy identity, I don't care about friendships, I don't care about purpose, I don't care about meaning. Like, I am literally a robot of a money making person, and there's just no more depth in me or meaning than me in that. Then hey, for sure, for sure. What are you going to argue with that? I mean, it's like, okay. I think that's less and less the norm. I think in a progressive society and progressive entrepreneurial world, I think people are going, you know what? Like, dude, because you don't define success, you're always looking for it, because it's not defined. It's like anything that's not defined. If it's not defined, you're trying to find the answer. So I would just say to folks too, like, here's the thing. You need to define what success is. And it can't be money, because you're always going to want more. It can't be sex, because you're always going to want more. It can't be power, because you're always going to want to be more. That's why they call these things, these levers that you. I think it's got to be deeper than that. I mean, I think stuff like you've talked about, like maybe success for you is financially being able to experience the most amazing things this world has to offer. And I don't know what it is for you. I'm just making that up, but it's like, hey, I want to be able to financially experience it. Like for me, it's like, man, I want to be in a financial place where I'm present to my family, but also have the freedom to bring them all over the world and do amazing things. And so there's some give and take there for sure. Um, do I think that those people would have been that successful if they didn't hurt themselves? I don't know, because they didn't try to do it without hurting themselves. Either the window would have passed, they would have failed. Maybe they would have had success 18 months later. It would have taken 18 months longer. Well, who knows? I think it's the wrong question though. Because if the answer is, would you have been as financially successful? If that's what we're trying to answer, I still think we're asking the wrong question. It's really, who do you want to be? Who do you want to be? You know, like, forget all that. That happened, whatever. Who do you want to be today? And when I talk to entrepreneurs and leaders, like, who do you want to be? Well, I want to be filthy rich at any cost. I don't care if it burdens out my family, my relationships, my health. That's who I want to be. Cool. I mean, that world's offered to you. I want to love my life. I want to bring value to the world. I want to sell, I don't care if it's belt buckles, man. I want to sell the most belt buckles that make people feel like when they put that on, they walk into a room and bang. Like, that's what I want to do. Awesome. Like, do you want to destroy your life over that? Like, I
So
don't, go ahead.
I was going to say, so walk me through the foundation of my five. And if someone was starting off and they're, in the midst of building their business, or they're
Yeah.
already, actually start with the people that are, because that's a lot of my audience. They're in the midst of like transitioning, most of them corporate America, being like, I'm
Yep.
tired of this rat
Yep.
race. I want to control my own destiny with my own job. So they are just starting out with this business. What advice would you give them? And how does that tie into my five? Because I think it does a lot.
Yeah. So the first thing we talk about in my five, and it's this study that Harvard Business Review talks about, and it's called enmeshment. It's when what you do and who you are so jammed together, you can't tell where one starts and one ends. So the first thing we talk about is identity. So if you're leaving corporate to go to, solopreneur or entrepreneur or whatever it is, man, it starts with, who does Jesse want to be? Who is Jesse to the world? Like, that's the starting point. And so I'm thinking of somebody that's like, man, I'm in corporate, and like, I'm trying to, I don't know what somebody that does, maybe they want to go into Airbnb rentals. I don't know. And it's like, what do you want? Why? Like, what's the identity factor in that? Well, you're doing it for a reason. You're leaving this for a reason. Why? Well, I want to, what? I want to be rich. Okay. That's the identity you want. Because there's a whole world that gets behind that. No. It's actually that I want more availability to my family. What does that look like? I want more flexibility in my time. Why? Like, what would you do at that time? Like, what is the purpose of the space you're creating so that you can fill that purpose with an identity? You know, I want to take my son to soccer, pick him up from football. I want to have deep, meaningful conversations. I don't want to be at the office all day long. I want to be in my identity. Is I want to be part of my identity. Is I want to be an incredible dad. So I would just say the first thing is this, man. Like, who do you want to be to the world? Not what do you want to achieve in the world. Think about the difference of that. Who do you want to be in the world? Not what do you want to achieve in the world. We always start with what we want to achieve in the world, not who we want to be in the world. And what will happen is, if we actually start with who I want to be in the world, it may look a little different than what I want to achieve in the world. You know what I mean? So then the second thing is, that's identity. That's just in a nutshell. The second thing is your health. Okay, you're not going to thrive if you don't have holistic health. So we talk a lot about holistic health and say, I'm not going to get into the right workout for you and the right eating patterns for you, but I do want to give you frameworks to think about and say, if I want to be this to the world, what does a healthy version of that look like? What does a healthy version of that look like? And so we talk about that and like focusing on your holistic health, everything from, yeah, of course, your physical world to your emotional world, to your environmental world, to your spiritual world. What does that look like to be a healthy individual? Because this is who I want to be in the world.